Hello, good evening, and welcome to today's episode of Become a Better Man. My name is Tunde Disu, and thank you once again for being part of today's program. It has been a very, very productive week, and I'm sure you've had a great time too. And today's topic is a new one. As you can understand, we have really milked the last topic looking at how to handle difficult people in our lives. We have really covered that extensively. And so we're starting a new topic today. And the topic we're looking at from today is it's another unique one in that it affects each and every one of us. It is not uncommon these days to hear things like productivity, efficiency, lean practice, cost cutting, increased production, reduced cost, and all of that. That is the world we live in. That is the market we operate in these days. So immediately you start thinking, okay, we're still doing the same thing, maybe with reduced resources, but we're expected to produce more. And this is a dilemma that every worker, every office, every organization, every government, everyone involved in one form of producing goods or services. This is the world we live in. This is what we have to deal with. This is what we have to manage with. So the question then is, if our resources, if what we have at our disposal is limited or reduced, and yet we're expected to produce more, if the time we have to produce is less, and yet our productivity, our efficiency is expected to go higher, if the raw materials are less, and yet the quality of our output is expected to be better and better and keep increasing and improving, and rightly so, by the way, then something has to give somewhere. Something will just have to change somewhere. And so today, ladies and gentlemen, we are looking at a topic that I have called Understanding the Rule of Three. Understanding the Rule of Three. You will agree with me that our working days are getting shorter. The volume of the work we do are getting bigger. It used to be you resume work at 9, you have your break between 12 and 1, you close at 5, and you go home, and that's it for the day till tomorrow. But you and I know that's not those days are far gone. Now it's a case of you resume work at 5 a.m. On your way to work, while you are commuting, you are still working. While you're on the bus, on the train, driving, or being driven, you are always working. So really, resumption time is almost not there. Then you're at work. Most people now have their lunch on their desks, and closing hour is no longer 5 o'clock because there's always that meeting that will come out just before 5 to keep you going. Even when you close at 5, on your way home, you're still working. When you get home, you are still working. You're having your dinner, the phone is ringing. So constantly we live in a world where work is no longer part of our lives. Work has virtually become our lives. Especially in this day and age of smartphone, tablets, Wi-Fi, broadband, fiber optics, where there is no hiding place. Wherever you are, people can reach you. Whatever you're doing, people can contact you. So the working environment has changed completely. Now we're going into the realm of machine intelligence, automation. I remember about 2 weeks ago, the secretary to the United Nations was shouting loud about his concern regarding the rate at which machines are taking over the works that men do. And it's not slowing down, it will continue. So the question therefore is, what can you and I do, number one, to maximize our time, and number two, to increase our productivity? Number one, to maximize our time, and number two, to increase our productivity. Because these two, among others, but these particular two are the core of what employers are asking for. In fact, they are demanding for it from every worker. So you will hear things like, well, we need to increase this, we need to reduce costs, but we need to increase this. We need to reduce staff, but we need to increase profitability. So the question is, what do you do? What can you do? Well, there's so much we can do. But in order for us to deliver at the level that is expected, we can only do what we have control over. What we have control over. And the few things that we have control over is the allocated time we have to do the work, and the work that we have in front of us. Good evening, Kunle Ajala. Good evening, Rita Van. Thank you guys for joining. I appreciate you. Please, let's go and share the message as you are joining. So we are constantly juggling things. You have career, you have education, you are working, but no, you still have to go to a part-time school. Or you are working, but then you still have to take extra lesson to learn a new language. Or the children, their lesson teacher is coming. Oh, by the way, you need to attend this conference that is coming up. Or that report, which is not on your schedule for the day, but somewhere down the line, you still have to give a report, and the report has to be in and so you are, it's like what they call the dog chasing its tail. You are constantly on the move, constantly on the go, constantly trying to get things done. Our responsibilities are not reducing. But in the course of pursuing and running after all of this and trying to make this work, other things that are equally important in our lives, they are suffering. Things like our relationships with spouses, relationships with children, relationship with parents, relationship with even God is suffering because of all this constant and never-ending demand for our attention, our time, and our productivity. There are obligations and responsibilities that are constantly knocking on our doors to say, I'm still here. I'm still here. What are you going to do about this? So it's like a race that is never ending. You are constantly on that treadmill trying to get to no destination, because running on a treadmill, yes, you are running, but you are not moving from the same spot. So when there are so many areas that are clamoring for our time, clamoring for our attention, asking us to give them our best and everything, it is very easy to get overwhelmed and get overloaded and come to a point where you just throw your arms in the air and say, you know what? I don't even know what to do now. I don't even know where to start from. I don't know about you. Have you experienced a situation where you arrive in your office in the morning, you look at the spread in front of you, you switch on your computer, and the emails are just like it is raining from heaven. The phone is ringing just at the minute that you've just walked through the door. And this is the first 5 minutes of the day. And you still got 8, 9, 10, maybe even 12 hours in front of you. So it is easy to get overwhelmed by all of this, and you're thinking, I don't even know where to start from. And constantly you feel your life is out of balance. You are not in control of it. You are not on top of things. And it can be frustrating to feel that way. The effect that will result to is that you gradually become agitated. You become resentful. You are easily provoked. You are stressed. And at the extreme end, some people will go into depression because of the volume of what is confronting man today. The good news is there's a way out. And that is what we'll be looking at on this program today. There is a way out of this rat race, this never-ending, constantly moving race and life that we live in the world today. There is a way out. And the way out is even within our grasp. And that is why on this platform today, we're going to be looking at what can you do? What can I do? How can I take control back of not just my life, but my schedule, my productivity, my relationships, things that actually really matter to me, things that I have sacrificed on the altar of trying to get the result and get the report done and deliver this project and meet this deadline. There are things you and I can do, and that is what we'll be looking at today. The key to getting ourselves out of this circle is to change the relationship, the nature, the essence of our relationship with time. We need to learn and understand how to manage the allocated time that we have. Now, you could turn around and say, well, you see, it's easy to say that, but we've all got 24 hours in a day. And yes, and that was where I started from. We all have the same number of hours. We are being demanded to produce more with limited resources and limited time. But there's something you and I can do. And the key is to change our relationship with time. Usually, the general recommendation you will hear from management gurus when you talk about things like this is they say, oh, well, you need to set goals, you need to set priorities, have a to-do list, manage your time, and they will roll out the list for you. But you see, those theories, those ideas, they are wonderful, they are great, they work if you can work it. The challenge with some of them, if not all of them, the challenge with most of them is they are not answers to your dilemma. They don't answer the question you are asking, because what they will say to you is to add to your overcrowded list, your overburdened life, your overflowing schedule is being added, because now, apart from the schedule that you have, you then have to find time to set goals, find time to set priorities, drop a to-do list and manage it, and on and on and on and on you go. But what that does is it gives you things that you must do, things that you have to do. And even when you do them, you're still not getting the expected result. Ladies and gentlemen, this is my opinion. The best and the most important thing that we all must strive for when it comes to our working life and our working day and the time we spend is to answer a simple question. What in all of this rat race and running from pillar to post, what in all of this represent my values, my strength, and my passion? In the midst of all of this, where are my values? Because in most cases, in an attempt to catch the balls from while you are juggling them, you compromise your values. You let go of your person. You wake up one morning and you can't recognize who you are. You almost stop being a person because you are just going through the motion. So the first thing you must do, the first thing we must do, the first thing that we must take back is the mindset that says, where are my values? Where are my values? What do I stand for? What do I represent? What is the essence of who I am? Because ultimately, and I have seen this, and I'm sure some of you've seen this, where people are pursuing and running 100 meters full speed to meet these work demands and deliver maximally within the short time. And then they collapse. And some of them are paralyzed. Some of them, they have strokes. Some people, they die on the spot. These are some of the things that we toy with, we play with, that we put at these are some of the things that are at stake when we're driven, when we live a driven life rather than a purposeful life. So you need to ask yourself, where's my strength? What is my passion? Where are my values? Rita Sidi Omagbetai, thank you. Rita Ahire George, thank you for joining me. You see, the more your goals, your focus, the essence, the ultimate of what you are and who you are. Pastor Chris Ogedengbe, thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much for joining me. The more your goals represent your values and your strength and your passion, the more likely you are able to achieve them, because you are not doing them out of duty. You'll be doing them from the bottom of your heart, from the overflow of who you are. And that is why, like I said, in the midst of all of this, we almost pull back and ask the question and identify and locate and lay our hands on, what are my values? Where is my strength? What do I stand for? What is my passion? So the more your goals represent those things, the more chance you have at achieving the goals. And when people think of productivity, in the midst of all of this, when people think of productivity, what comes to mind? Okay, let me ask you, when you hear the word productivity, what picture do you see? What image forms in your mind when you hear the word productivity? Because that is what drives some of these things that we're talking about. We need to produce, we want to produce, we must produce, we have to produce. But productivity, while people think productivity is the amount of stuff that you get done, or the number of boxes on your to-do list that you tick off, or the number of reports that you generate, while a lot of people think about that as being productive, the unfortunate thing is, it's a terrible way to determine your productivity, because it assumes that everything and all the things in front of you, they all have equal values to you and to the organization. But the truth is they're not. Everything, they all have their different weight of value. So if productivity is about how many boxes you tick and how many letters you send out, how many emails you answered, and how many phone calls you make, maybe you should ask a salesman whether the number of phone calls is determined at the end of the month to give him commission for the work he's done that month. It's not. It's not about the number of calls you make. It's about the deals that you close. A better way to measure your productivity is to simply ask at the end of the day, when and if and when the day is over, you then ask yourself, did I actually finish, complete, and finalize everything that I intended to do today. Not everything in front of me, but everything I intended to do. Did I actually finish them today? That is how you measure productivity. Productivity is not about doing more things. It's about doing the right things. I'm going to say that again. Productivity is not about doing many things and everything. No, it's about doing the right things. Getting the right things done and complete that is what productivity is about. Don't spread yourself too thin that you are completely ineffective in all areas, but focus. It's about doing the right thing, doing the things that has the greatest leverage and that will give you a greater return on the investment of your time and energy. That is what productivity is. In order to determine what those things are that will give you this greatest leverage and return on investment, you need to determine the outcomes that must be met, the result that must be in your hand, the finality of where you want to be at that given point in time, in order for you to know whether you have been productive or not. Let's take take an example. You have a to-do list with 7 items on it. And at the close of the day, you've done 6 of them. You've ticked 6 of your 7 items on your to-do list. You've ticked 6 as done. And at the end of the day, the only one that you haven't done is the one that actually matters. Is the one that actually will give you better return on your investment. The question is, have you been productive that day? And the answer is no. The answer is no. Yeah, but Tunde, I've done this, I've done that, I did that, I phoned this person, I called that person, I sent the letter. Yes, you did all of that. But what is the return on the investment of your time and energy for that particular day? So productivity is not about doing many things. It's about doing that one thing, that few things, that 3 things that will give you the greatest leverage and the highest return on the investment of your time and energy. The driving force behind the measurement of how productive you and I are should be this question: did I get done what I intended to get done today? Did I finish those things or that thing that I planned to do today? That is a measure of productivity. Productivity is not about the amount of tasks you marked off. It is about whether you did the right thing and you get it done. That thing that is important to you, that thing that is important to the organization you're working for, that thing that defines that you have added value, not just to yourself, but to your team, to your department, and to the organization in general. That is productivity. So what is this rule of 3? What of 3? Because when you understand the principle behind the rule of 3, when you understand the importance of the application of the rule of 3, suddenly you become a different person. Not just to your organization, but even to yourself. I'm sorry about that. The internet just suddenly went on a journey to somewhere. But we're back now. Thank you for hanging out there. Appreciate you. I was talking about the rule of three. The rule of three says at the beginning of each day, before you start working, before you switch on your computer, before you sit on that chair, before you take position for that day, have a predetermined three things that you must accomplish by the end of the day. Now, you may want to argue that, well, what's different between that and having a to-do list or having priority? Ultimately, there's just ride with me on this journey. You will see where I'm going. Ultimately, your to-do list, your priorities, your goal sets, your schedule, at the end of the day, even when you have all that in place, your day's productivity will be measured not by the number of items on your to-do list, not by how accurate your priorities are set, not by the fancifulness of the goal that you have set for yourself. Your contribution for the day will be measured by what have you accomplished today. And in order for you to be able to hand on heart confirm categorically that these are what I have achieved today, use the power of the rule of three. The question is this, and this is something that we all see, we all know, and yet it might take a platform like this, a session like this, for the penny to drop for us. The question is your day by design or by default? Your normal working day, is it by design or by default? Is it deliberate or is it by accident? Are you living a driven life or a directed life? Are you living your day, your life, the way you design it, or is it the one that is designed by somebody and handed over to you? Yes, you may say, well, Tunde, but I don't understand your point, because we all work for somebody. We have a boss who will give instruction and they expect you to deliver. Yes, I appreciate that. I do too. But the boss has given the instruction. The workability, the way you deliver on that instruction, the boss won't do that for you. That is now up to you. Oh yeah, but then there are rules and ways to do things. Absolutely, without a question. But ultimately, the bulk stop on your desk. How you do it, when you do it, where you do it, with what you do it, with whom you do it, so that ultimately the boss it's not bothered about any of that. All the boss is looking for is, have you got result for me? Have you got result for me? The application of the rule of three gives you total control over your working life and your destiny. The fact is, in any environment, either at home, at work, at church, at school, we are all looking for results. It is the result that speaks. So if you are not giving results, if you are not producing results, if you are not generating results, who cares about the method and it doesn't matter. It is the result. And the rule of three is there to make sure that at every given point in time, every day of your working life, every day you say good morning, by the time you say good night, you have something to show for what you have done with your day. I hope this is helping somebody. So in order to establish your 3 daily activities, or the 3 deliveries that you must have in a day, in order for you to be able to identify and establish this, what are your 3 must be done today? What are those 3 things that will define the fact that your day has been productive? What are they? In order for you to design that, in order for you to determine that, in order for you to establish all of that, you must ask and answer the following questions by yourself. You must ask yourself and answer these questions sincerely by yourself to yourself. What are they? The first question is, what is the most important thing in my life right now? Remember, I talked earlier on about what are your values. So what is the most important thing for you right now? Number 2, where do I need to spend more time? In what aspect of my life do I need to invest more time? Number 3, what will cause the most pain today if it's not done? What will cause the most disastrous, the most painful result today if it is not done? What will cause the most heinous crime you can commit today if it is not done? Number 4 question, what area needs my attention the most right now? What area needs my attention the most right now? You see, the ability to answer these 4 questions will help put your mind in a framework where you can, in the process of answering these questions, you identify, you define, and you establish the 3 most important things that must be accomplished on a given day for you to go home knowing that you have been productive, knowing that you have added value, not just to yourself, but to the organization that you're working for. Remember, I said productivity is not about how many things you've done, it's about doing the right thing. Naturally, there are many things in my life, and rightly so, that are clamoring and juggling for our attention. And they are all telling us, I'm the most important. You need to do me fair. You should give me attention. But you must engage what I call elimination by substitution process. Elimination by substitution process. You remember, I don't know if you read the novel, The Animal Farm. It said all animals are... We're back. Pastor Charles, thank you for joining me. Again, I'm sorry for that short break. I was going to say it was due to power failure from NEPA, but obviously this is not Nigeria, so I'm going to apologize once again for that short break in transmission. It's the internet again. I'll be looking into that afterwards. So quickly, for the time that we have left, how do you get the most out of the rule of 3? How do you prepare yourself? What do you need to do? How do you get yourself ready to launch your rule of 3 in your own life and in your work environment? Number 1, I know we live in a digital world. We live in the digital age where we have smartphones and tablets and everything else. Some are in the cloud, some are everywhere. But you see, great as they are, in a situation like what we're looking at, or this rule of three, in order for you to maximally get the best out of it, I strongly recommend that you use the old school way, the old fashioned way. Get yourself a pen and a paper, a notepad. Get a pen and a notepad. The reason I say that is, I remember when I was in Teachers College and we were taught that the reason a teacher would teach by talking and writing is because it engages the pupils or the children or the student in more than one of their five senses. Because they can see it while you are writing, they can hear you while you are talking about it, and when necessary, they can say it themselves. They can write it down. And because of the multiple ways or multiple sources of contacting or engaging their senses, it helps their learning. It's the same thing with this when you are doing this exercise about the rule of three. Rather than just grab your phone or your iPad or Samsung, whatever tablet you're using, and you type away, which is great, it's quick, it's faster. But you see, it's a different ball game when you write it down. There's something about scribbling that is just, you can't get the effect of it in typing. I don't know whether you have experienced it. When I'm processing something, I would rather write with my hand on a piece of paper or a cardboard or something rather than to type it. Now I can go back and type it should I wish to or choose to or need to. But the initial concept, the initial pouring out of what is going on in my head, I prefer to just grab a piece of paper and write it down. Because I am engaging multiple facets of my senses. Writing it down makes there's a sense of tangible something that you are doing, and it makes it more memorable. I remember when I was in secondary school, as long as I am in the class, when the lecturer or the teacher is teaching that particular topic, I'm good. Because I can remember, I have the ability to remember what he said, how he said it, where he was standing, what he was writing, his facial expression. And sometimes those are the clues that will bring the whole topic, the whole subject back to my memory. Is the way he laughed or the way he made a jest of somebody. And because I'm engaging all these multiple facets of my senses, it helps my learning and my understanding. It's the same thing when it comes to this exercise that we're looking at about preparing or making your rule of three. Write it down on a piece of paper. Another reason why it's good to write it down on a piece of paper is when you have it on your smartphone or your iPad. Remember, some of these gadgets, you have hundreds or 20 or 50 other apps running at the same time. So for you to have access to this material when you need it, you have to go through the screen lock, then you put your key in, then you swipe everything till you get to the... But if it is on a piece of paper that is lying just next to you or your computer, every time you turn around, you see what you have written. It's a constant reminder that you have to fulfill and achieve and deliver on those three things for that day. So that's the first thing. Use a pen and a notebook to write down what are the three things that must be accomplished, must be fulfilled, must be completed, must be perfected on this day, for this day to be deemed productive maximally. Number two, At the end of the day, take it upon yourself to just sit back in your chair and reflect what and how you have done on that day. What that will help you to do is it will help you to determine the goals that you set, the 3 things that you listed out, the preparation for those 3 things. Were you actually realistic when you were preparing them? Because it's one thing to have those 3 things. So today I am going to start my my first book and I'm going to publish it today. You could have written that down. But is it realistic? Can you really do it that day? Were your goals too ambitious, or are you not ambitious enough? Were you cutting back? Were you limiting yourself? You can only process that during the time of reflection. And as you do this reflection over and over again, you start to identify a certain pattern that will work for you, that you can now extrapolate into other areas of your life. So the second thing you must do to get the best out of your rule of 3 is take time to reflect. Another thing you must do is that you have to be flexible. You have to be flexible. What do I mean by being flexible? Yes, you have written down your 3 things that must be accomplished today. Yes, you are pursuing them and everything is in sync with your plan, your timing and everything. But this is life. And life happens. Emergencies can come up. There could be a change in the whole atmosphere at the drop of, or at the snap of your finger. Don't become dogmatic. Don't be rigid. Give yourself the room to maneuver. Even though you have your 3 things, don't become slaves to them. I think that's the right word. Don't become slaves to your rule of 3. I'm not advocating that you are casual about them. No, I'm saying even though they are important, even though they represent your values and your passion and your strength, when emergencies come, when the unexpected happens, when things come at you out of the blue, you must have enough room to maneuver, to accommodate, to be flexible, to be bendable, to take them on as you go. Another thing you must do is, sometimes you have the 3 things that you must accomplish today, and by 2, maybe 1 o'clock in the afternoon, the 3 are accomplished. You have perfected the 3. So what do? Do you pack up your bag and go home? No. Even though you have completed the 3 things that your rule of 3 dictates for that day, it doesn't mean you pack up your bag and go. That is the time for you to maybe do your reflection, but also plan for your to-do for tomorrow. Also, look at what else can I do? How can I add value to somebody else in this organization? Walk down the corridor to the next man's office. Help somebody with their project. Give a helping hand to somebody in need of it. Ultimately, what I'm saying is don't become a slave to your rule of 3. Don't become slave to your rule of 3. Slave to your rule of 3. Number 4, react when needed. React when needed. No matter how deliberate we are with our day, no matter how much plan has gone into the day, what if things change all of a sudden? What if while you are just about to get the home run on your project, suddenly you get a call and the managing director says, do you know what, that project, we're scrapping it. Or that project has now been taken over by the international headquarters. So it's suddenly become bigger. Allow room for that. And sometimes these other things that has nothing to do with your project, with what you are working on, will just land on your table. That is the time for you to react and decide, what am I doing with this now? Am I going to do it? Am I going to queue it for another day? Am I going to schedule it for another time? Am I going to delegate it to somebody else? Or am I just going to delete it? You have to be proactive. You have to be able to react to circumstances as they happen, as they occur, without losing focus of your rule of three. Another thing that will help is plan your rule of three the night before. Like I said, you can do that during your reflection time if you have time. But let's assume you don't even have time. Maybe while you're driving home, just process it in your head. Just think about, okay, what am I doing tomorrow? What do I need to accomplish tomorrow? How can I process this tomorrow? Maybe while you are out doing your jogging, taking the dog for a walk, or you are just gazing at the star. Whatever you do, plan your rule of three of tomorrow the night before. The reason for that is this. When you arrive at work in the morning, rather than spending the first 20, 30, or an hour or 60 minutes of your fresh morning when you are full of energy, rather than spending that time to start thinking, oh, what are we going to do today? Can we do that? Maybe we should try that. No, because you have planned it the night before. As soon as you arrive, you are off the block. You are on your way. You are already adding value, already accomplishing things, while others are still trying to wind themselves up to get into the mood that we're in the office now, spend the first 30 minutes drinking coffee in the kitchen and chatting about what happened last night. No. Your day is already in motion because you planned it before. Also, when you plan the night before, it makes the work for that day less stressful. You can ease yourself into the work much better, knowing that you already know what you are going to do. So you can hit the ground running. When you haven't planned out your rule of three for the day, it will show. It will show. You can see it. It will also show in your level of productivity. It will reflect in how motivated you are to get that day's work done. It will become glaring in your interaction with other people around and about you. And ultimately, when you are lying on that bed in the night, that sense of satisfaction, that feeling of accomplishment that you have become used to, that you enjoy, suddenly it's not there because you didn't plan your day before the day came. You didn't achieve everything that you could have achieved for that day. So as you can see, ladies and gentlemen, understanding and adopting the rule of three will help you to produce maximally. You haven't done what you shouldn't. Well, you have done everything that you needed to do for the day. But the difference is, it's not just what you do now. It is the fact that you have added value. It's the fact that you have become productive. It is the fact that you have accomplished more. It is the fact that the stress and the aggros of trying to get the day off ground and keep it in the air is no longer there, because you already have your rule of three. What are those three things that I must accomplish today? When you do that, Imagine you're accomplishing 3 things in a day. In a 5 working day, that's 15. Imagine where you'll be at the end of the month, at the end of the quarter, at the end of half year. By the time the year rolls over, it's like you alone, you've produced enough of what 6 people could have produced. Do you think you'll be recognized? Do you think you'll be promoted? Do you think you'll be rewarded? I bet you will. I bet you will. So you can see how important this rule of 3 is as far as your productivity and your ability to add value to your organization, but ultimately your ability to feel a sense of joy, of accomplishment, of fulfillment, of job satisfaction is now restored into your life. I don't know if this has helped anybody. I believe it has helped a lot of people. And I believe that from now going forward, we are all going to start looking at our working patterns differently and ask that question that we talked about earlier on. The question of, okay, what is the most important thing in my life? What are my values? What is my passion? What do I stand for? How can I add value, not just to myself, but to the people around me, to my team, my department, my organization, and the people at large? Because every little adds to the pile. Every drop of rain eventually forms the big ocean. And it starts with somebody doing what they needed to do when they needed to do it and how it is needed to be done so that they can deliver maximally. My prayer is that what we have seen, what we have learned today will go a long way to help us in establishing and determining what our rule of 3 is. What are we doing next week? Next week we're going to continue on this topic. We're going to be looking at how to prioritize when everything is a priority. When everything is a priority, everything is important. What are the mathematics, the method of prioritizing? We're also looking at how to set your priorities straight so that you can live a life that you enjoy, that you love, that you are happy in. So these are some of the things we'll be looking at next week. Ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate your time, and again, I apologize for the glitches we had during the program due to internet issue. It's been wonderful to have you with us. Andrew Grimshaw, I appreciate you, sir. Thank you for being part of today's program. If you have not shared this program and you believe this program has been a blessing, why don't you spread the blessing? Share it with somebody else. Thank you, Rita Van. Thank you so much. I appreciate your devotion, your commitment to this platform. May God honor each and every one of you. I appreciate you. Remember, we are people on a mission. We are people going somewhere to make a difference. We are people on a journey of discovery. And we're not going to stop and be derailed, be distracted until we arrive at a point where everything around us, where everyone around us, where even ourselves can look back and say, surely we are all good men. We are better men and better women because of this journey that we have undertaken. So until next week when we meet again, same time, 8 p.m. UK time. I know the time has changed in the UK, so it's probably going to be 9 p.m. Nigerian time Until we meet again next week, this is Tunde Disu saying thank you. God bless you. Have a blessed week. I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.